Hi, very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching the Stock Game right here on 18 Hour. I'm Devina Menon.
Morning to our viewers. I'm Avan Dabas, and the next 1 hour promises to be absolutely jam-packed. We're going to be discussing a whole host of stocks and even talking about where our experts stand in BNS and the stock game on the final day. Let's first run you through how the game is played. We give a notional amount of 5 lakh rupees to 3 of our experts who join in from Monday up until Friday. They have to deploy this money into 4 individual stocks. Only one can be from the F&O space. Now remember, if they do have a short position in the cash market, those stocks must be squared off. And if a stop loss is triggered on any of their stocks, or if a target price is achieved, then they have to compulsorily change those stocks. Today at 3:30 is when we will announce who is the final winner of BNS and the stock game, because they have been playing it from Monday and we've seen a whole host of new stocks, new strategies which have been adopted by our experts. So let's not waste any time and in fact just introduce them and bring them on board. We've got Ashwini Gujral, who joins in on the technical side, as does Rajat Bose, and we've got Mr. VVLN Shastri, who's also with us on the fundamental side, joining in just a bit. But first up, let's take you through what their portfolios look like on day 4.
Oh yes, and it was a very interesting mix, and you can see the result of that probably post today's mixes, and you've seen both our experts who were in the red have actually finally managed to bounce back into the green. As of day 4, this is how portfolio stood. We've got Mr. Shastri, who had Unitech in his portfolio. He went short on that one. He adopted a strategy where he went short on all of the stocks. Jindal Poly was the other one. Pantaloon Retail, once again, a short call coming in there, as well as an SKS Micro, which obviously the target got hit in yesterday's session. Coming to Ashwini's portfolio then, he got a Raymond, went short on that one. Again, went short on an RCF. Long on a core project, which worked out in his favor, so he made money on core projects as well. And a Lakshmi Vilas Bank, once again a short call coming in. Rajat, on the other hand, had equally divided his stance, so had 2 longs and 2 shorts. Bhushan Steel and Hotel Leader were the stocks that he went long on. Alok Industries and Jindal Steel June Futures was what he went short on. But today, well, we will find out what are the stocks that each of our experts have actually put into their portfolio. Welcome on board, Mr. VVLN Shastri as well. Mr. Shastri, let's start off with the final day of this week and the portfolio that you have for us.
Yeah, in fact, on the final day, I have reshuffled the 4 stocks with new stocks. Unitech, I replaced it with Kansai Nerolac Paints as a sell call, basically at a price of 841.50 and at a target of 800 and stop loss of 875. And Pantaloon, I replaced it with BPCL at a price of 617 and target price of 635. Target already reached and target exceeded in fact, and stop loss I kept 595. And SKS Micro, I replaced it with IOC with a price of 328.80 and target of 345 and stop loss of 300. And Jindal Poly, I replaced it with Lowell Lingri, a sell call basically at 375.65 with a target of 335.
Okay, that's his portfolio on day 5. 2 sell calls coming in and 2 buy calls in the oil marketing space, which is certainly doing the trick for him. Let's go across to Ashwini Gujral and talk about his 4 picks. You're maintaining that same stance, that same consistency, Ashwini, from day 1, but I'm surprised not to spot any oil marketing companies in your portfolio.
See, that according to me is a bit of a lame strategy, because unless you get in 2 days before the event, today the stocks would have opened 3, 4, 5% higher. So I don't think anybody would have benefited by giving those calls. Today is a good day to establish positions on the short side, because you are getting a substantial gap up rally. But you need to choose the sector that you go short on. I have chosen the commodity space, though those stocks are up 1–1.5%, but these are good prices to get short into them. They may work out today, they may not. So today we are shorting Kane with a stop about 315, target of 295. We are buying Renuka with a stop of about 55, target of 61. Tata Steel we are selling with a stop of 570, target 535. And Aban we are selling with a stop of 515, target 475.
All right, going long on a Sri Renuka. Obviously, we had news coming in from the government as well yesterday, which has allowed an additional 5 lakh tons of sugar to be exported under the open general license. Sri Renuka is a buy call from Ashwini and all the others sell. Let's go across to Rajat to find out his portfolio as on the final day, which has actually made him bounce back into the green. A good leap, Rajat, on the final day.
Well, I have always maintained that I was actually banking on a rally, and that rally has finally come in. It was basically the reason behind betting on a rally was the activity in the, from the option writers. The option writers yesterday clearly suggested that whatever happens, they are actually betting on a rally, as 5,300 added more than 1 million units in open interest, 5,300 puts for June series. And the stocks that I've chosen, I mean, I continue to believe that oil marketing companies are a good investment case for going future. I mean, going forward. The simple reason is that these stocks, in the recent past, when carnage happened, but they were not going down much. And while from certain quarters you will get to hear that those stocks that have not fallen would also fall. It is not always the case. It may be mostly the case, but it is not always the case, and especially the oil marketing companies would not suffer that kind of an ignominy, at least this time. That's what I tend to believe. Apart from that, I retained Bhushan Steel as my carry trade from yesterday, and I've chosen Kingfisher because yesterday in the American markets the airline stocks were rallying, so there was a chance that the airline stocks here would also go in for some kind of short covering. Probably that's happening today. Autoline was a price volume breakout, and Hindustan Petroleum, I continue to believe people would make money going for an investment into oil marketing companies. Particularly Hindustan Petroleum looks very good at current prices. It will give good enough money going forward.
Okay, so Rajat was betting on the markets and they're certainly working in his favor. He has staged a comeback. So let's bring up the calculator plates, which absolutely speak volumes as to the kind of progress our analysts are making. VVL and Shastri losing out marginally on a Kansai Nerolac, which is up and about, but on all of the other three counters, he's making good gains of 1.5% to 2% thereabouts. 1% is the entire gain from his portfolio for day one. So 4,400 rupees is what goes into his pocket. Ashwini Gujral, on the other hand, is losing out on two of his investments, particularly Tata Steel and Aban Offshore, making good gains on a Ken as well as a Sri Renuka. 13% are the gains that he's sitting on. 68,000 rupees is what he is gaining. And finally, on to Rajat Bose. It's been an absolute wonderful comeback that he's staged, considering the kind of losses that he was sitting on just yesterday. 2.5% on Bhushan Steel, Kingfisher, Auto Airlines, as well as Autoline Industries, as well as HPCL working in his favor. So 1.5% being gained, and those gains are only piling up. So 8,000 is what he is currently making. But let's chat individual stocks and find out the reason as to why our experts have chosen them, so you get a better idea. We'll start off with Kansai Nerolac. Mr. Shastri, that's the only one that's not working in your favor, and it has been pretty range bound on the charts. What are the fundamentals looking like?
See, its demand is derived from the realty segment basically. At this point of time, it's quite unseasonal for the new constructions to come into the picture, and at the same time, seasonally, if you look at the sales as a historical trend, June to December quarters are not quite good for these companies. So given that scenario, I feel this current quarter, I mean to say June to September and again December quarters will not be that good for this company. So that's the reason I felt that this stock should find realistic levels, so that I felt that the valuations at this point of time are looking high. So a short call may be an ideal call for this kind of counters at this point of time.
All right, a 7-day chart of a Kansai Nerolac down about 3% Mr. Shastri also giving a sell call on this one, but just in today's session at least not working out in his favor. Come to you, Ashwini, and your first stock is from the oil and gas pack itself, and you've got Kane, and you see further downside pressure on this one.
See, Kane was moving sideways between 330 and 360, and it's broken down from that range. So it seems that after this kind of sideways move, it should move lower towards levels of 265, 270. Although target for the day remains about 295, we keep a stop about 315.
coming in on Ken India, which is lower by just about 0.5% in today's session. Let's finally talk about the first stock which is coming into Rajat's portfolio. It's a Bhushan Steel. Rajat, walk us through the targets and stop losses.
See, it is actually a trade that has been carried forward from yesterday. Bhushan Steel is a high beta stock, and the kind of chart pattern that it showed, that there is a possibility that it might actually hit the target of 457. Maybe not today, maybe on Monday, but that target is very likely to be hit, and I kept a stop loss of 427. This is overall a good trade because this kind of this stock, particularly in such kind of scenarios like today, generally expected to perform well. Maybe in late session it will do well. Otherwise, fine enough, whatever gains that it is giving me now.
All right, 1.5% in today's session, still maintaining a target of about 457 on a Bhushan Steel, carrying it forward from yesterday's session, making money on this one overall. Coming to you, Mr. Shastri, on your second stock in the portfolio, oil marketing, and that's the focus you've taken, BPCL. I would say that's a very lucky shot because it hit the target price and it's moved lower from there.
Yeah, in fact, though there was a talk on the part of Easy OM going to go for price hike, but I feel the real trigger for the rise in oil market companies is not that. What we need to take into consideration is the overnight significant development that has happened worldwide on account of International Energy Agency deciding to release almost 60 million barrel emergency stock into the world markets to decrease the oil prices and to deflate the oil prices. So that clearly gives a chance for crude oil prices going down substantially, and it has already started in US markets, wherein the crude futures have closed at $91.02 per barrel. So given that scenario, irrespective of price hike locally, though that is also a positive trigger, whether it happens or not, given the downfall that we can find in the crude prices, the oil market companies are going to be the beneficiaries. So given that scenario, I have chosen BPCL and IOC as the stocks for long call.
Take a look at the kind of price momentum that you're seeing on a BPCL as well, high by 3.5%, and it's been on a very strong note since the start of the day, given all of that news as far as the EGOM is concerned, 639 at last count. Let's talk about the second stock then in Ashwini's portfolio. It's a Sri Renuka Sugars that he's bullish on, and you do have the government allowing that additional 5 lakh ton of sugar exports under the OGL. We spoke to the management also of Sri Renuka Sugars, who is extremely positive on this move and welcoming this kind of a move. How much can the run-up go for most of these sugar counters, Ashwini? Is it just a flash in the pan, or is this a positive undertone?
You know, Sri Renuka used to be a stock which was at about 140, 125, 130 was the high. Today you are getting sugar stocks at $50. The 50-55 region is a fairly strong support for Sri Renuka. Now slowly some kind of positive developments will start happening. Even from a longer term basis, I think these are great levels to buy these stocks. Every couple of years we see that these stocks tend to run up and double and do all that. If there is any kind of deregulation, that's even better. So Sri Renuka we buy with a stop of about 55 for a target about 61.
All right, a target of 61 and just 1 rupee short of the target price on a Sri Renuka Sugars. In fact, Mr. Shastri, just bringing back to you, while we have seen this development where 5 lakh tons additional has been allowed for export under OGL, considering that global prices are trading at a premium, how big a shot in the arm is this for sugar companies here, and your own assessment, at least on the fundamental side for Sri Renuka?
See, basically there is always a caveat for these domestic sugar companies wherein they are administered partially by the government, because the export quota is only after meeting the domestic demand requirement. So given that scenario, though this goes as a news flow, but fundamentally if you see Renuka's numbers, there is quite a significant amount of volatility in its PAT levels for the past 3 quarters. So given that scenario, I don't really bet on this stock, though it may give some cyclical and seasonal returns, but it's for a short while.
All Right, for a short run is what you can see these stocks move up. Sri Lanka is up about 3.5% at last count. Should pull up a Kingfisher as well. That is the second stock in Rajat's portfolio. He's gone long on this one, and it's a swell run for all of the aviation, aviation stocks today. Be it a Jet Airways, a Kingfisher Airlines, a SpiceJet. You've seen crude oil coming off its highs, and also there is a possibility that ATF prices could come down, which is why you're seeing some bit of a kickback for all of these stocks. Rajat, you've selected Kingfisher Airlines. Take us to the targets and stop losses.
The Kingfisher has a resistance around 39.5, 40, and so that's why I kept a target of 38.85 because I have taken a large position in this given the kind of price that it is quoting at, and my feeling is that if the target is hit, then I tend to make some money there, and my also the fact that Kingfisher being in the futures segment has seen a lot of short position build up. Today is the best day for some kind of short covering to happen in Kingfisher for the simple reason: one, there is a rally in the market, and the second thing is that airline stocks all over the world are rallying. So today Kingfisher would have been a natural choice, and that's why I've chosen it. And when you are playing the game and if there is an event of this kind, one should better capitalize on that, and that's why I've chosen Kingfisher.
Okay, so it's Kingfisher which is doing well, but that's not the only aviation stock. Pull up a Jet Airways as well. It's higher by 10% in today's session. Of course, you do have the drop in the crude oil prices. There is an anticipation that there may just be a revision as well in the ATF prices, but that is an astounding move for the counter, and it's also backed by pretty strong volume action, 8.5% at last count. So we've discussed picks 1 and 2 of each of our experts. Time to take a quick breather on that note. We'll be talking with all three of them on why they've picked stocks 3 and 4 in just a bit. Welcome back. You're watching the stock game right here on ET Now, and we're in discussion with our three experts who are playing the game with us this week. Stock 3 and 4 of our experts. We'll start off with Mr. VVL and Shastri's portfolio, and he already spoke about liking a BPCL target price getting triggered there, so we've booked the profit for him. And IOC again, Mr. Shastri, again you've taken the bend towards oil marketing companies this morning.
Yeah, in fact, that's basically based on the overnight development in USA and Europe, because IEA, the International Energy Agency, for the first time since 1974, went against the OPEC and the Arab oil embargo and went against them, and for the third time since 1974, they have decided to release the world emergency oil reserves to decrease the oil prices. That is a significant development. I don't think EZOM really is triggering the rise in the oil marketing companies. The trigger for oil marketing companies is the decrease in the oil prices, and these oil prices are going to further go down. That's where I think IOC will also be a significant gainer, including HPCL and BPCL. So I feel these oil marketing companies will have a good run at least for next 1 to 2 weeks.
Just to actually add on to that, while Mr. Shastri spoke about the International Energy Agency, which has decided to release 2 million barrels per day for the next 30 days in order to compensate for the shortages from Libya. So that is probably what caused oil to collapse yesterday in the back of the fact that there's going to be more supplies coming in. CLSA, for that matter, in terms of their oil targets, they've maintained that Brent crude can be seen anywhere between $80 to $90 per barrel.
Okay, but you also do have JP Morgan, in fact, which has slashed the forecast for Brent crude to about 100 from $130 per barrel. But let's deviate from all of that talk on oil marketing companies and talk about the metals pack. Tata Steel is coming in as a sell call from Ashwini Gujral's portfolio. Ashwini, you have a lot of concerns which come in for the metals pack as a whole, particularly the kind of prices that we're seeing overseas, inflation concerns, all of that likely to impact the fundamentals of steel. Are the technicals also mirroring all of this negative?
See, particularly Tata Steel, because of its exposure to Europe, and it's now a global steel company. So, whenever economies slow down, metals generally come down. So, from that perspective, we've sold short Tata Steel with a stop of about 570, target of 535.
All right, there you have it. Ashwini talking about a Tata Steel sell call coming in on that one. That's the chart of Tata Steel today, which is up closer to 2%. Target of 535 is what Ashwini has kept out on that one. Coming to the third stock for Rajat, and Autolight Industries is what he's got, making a hefty sum on this one, almost 5% gains coming in today's session since the time he's taken the position. Rajat, working really well for you.
Yeah, Autoline Industries, in the last 1 month, if you notice that they have gone for some kind of accumulation at lower levels. I mean, that was below 140, the accumulation took place, and yesterday there was a breakout with good volume. And my feeling is that Autoline Industries is a good investment case at current prices, and at least a minimum of 200 to about 210 possible over the medium term. And this stock generally gives good run-up once the positive divergences surface on daily as well as weekly charts, and that's what you tend to find on its end-of-day chart as well as weekly chart. So I'm not just recommending this as an intraday trade. It is a good investment trade, stock as well. And in all likelihood, I would be recommending this to your portfolio reviewer this morning.
Okay, so that's a stock which is certainly doing the magic for Rajat in today's session. It's a good medium-term bet according to him, and take a look at the kind of moves that it's witnessing in today's session as well. Higher by 12%, quoting at a price of about 163, and in a matter of 7 days also you saw the stellar move up 22%. Let's talk about the last and final pick in their portfolio, and here's a pledge share stock, Mr. Shastri, which has been absolutely hammered, a lovable lingerie. How much further do you see the downside?
I think the target as per me is 335 on the downside, because even apart from the pledge part of it, one needs to think fundamentally also at this juncture what's happening worldwide in the market of lingerie, because the discount sales are heavily happening at this point of time, and that's going to put a pressure for the ongoing quarter and the coming quarter for this company. So given that scenario, I feel further downside is possible. So my near-term target is 335 for this stock.
All right, should pull up a lovable 7-day chart for you as well. While today it's working in Mr. Shastri's favor, and it's down about 2%. The last 7 days has not particularly been kind as well. So down about closer to 5%. Still better than what the other stocks have collapsed. It's down 5% in the last 7 days. Coming to Ashwini, and your final stock is in Aban Offshore, a sell call coming in on this one.
Yeah, the low out here was about 500 odd, and if this stock breaks down below 500, it could go as low as 460, 65. And generally, when oil does poorly, Aban Offshore does poorly as well. So we keep a stop of about 515 and look to play for targets of 475.
Okay, 475, that's the target on the stock, with a stop at 515, and Aban Offshore higher by 1.5%. Ashwini's got a sell call on that one. Hindustan Petroleum, June Futures, that's the final stock in Rajat Bose's portfolio. You have the target price also on that one, which has been hit, Rajat.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy actually about Hindustan Petroleum doing well. it was supposed to do well. I have already right at the beginning outlined the case for oil marketing companies, and looking at the technical charts, I feel that it's a good investment bet as well. And at some point in time, even the government would be ready to take some decision, and that would work in favor of these oil marketing companies. If you read either financial history or political history, you will see that even in British Parliament, there was a bill that could not be passed for 12 years, finally got passed. That kind of cases are there. Similarly here, at some point in time, the government would have to bite the bullet and do something good for these oil marketing companies, and the technical charts, the kind of accumulation, kind of relative strength that it is showing suggests that oil marketing companies are here to stay as bullish counters.
All right, Raja, that's an HPCL target getting triggered there. Before we go across and talk about the calculator plate, you should just pull up the Nifty as well as the Sensex for you. We've taken on board 5400 as well. 1.5% at the highest point of the day. The Sensex is also just about touched that 18,000 mark, 1.5% higher at last count there as well. Remember, this week has been full of news on the global front as well. First, we were anticipating the Greek confidence vote, which came in favor of Greece, but the IMF still maintained that there is a possible contagion in the peripheral countries, which could cause a bit of a problem. We didn't see markets react too much to that good positive cue that came in on the back of the fact that even Ben Bernanke gave out a very bleak outlook for the US economic growth and said that it could be in the range of 2.7% to 2.9%, which is lower than before. So that was a negative cue. Amongst the entire week's volatility, we finally managed to come back to the levels that we were at. 5400 is the level that we are seeing right now. Goes to see how expiry also shapes up, but that was pretty much a range that every analyst had been talking about, 5200 to 5400, and we've probably come back to the upper end of that channel. So 18,000 on the Sensex, and we've got Nifty also trading higher, closer to 5400. Time to take on board those calculator plates then to tell you how they're stacking up in terms of positions right now. You've got Mr. VVL and Shastri right now with a target getting triggered on BPCL. IOC also making him good money. Lovable, on the other hand, also doing well for him. All in all, a good 3-odd% gain, half an odd% gain coming in for his entire portfolio. Ashwini Gujral and his portfolio there making money on a Kane and a Sri Renuka, but losing out on a Tata Steel and a Ban. But overall, since day one, still making a massive 13.5%, and you can't crib about it because we've got it in just 1 week. On to Rajat Bose and his portfolio. Complete turnaround is what you've seen for Rajat since the start of the trading week rather. We've seen him in losses for the first 4 straight days, and now this is what has turned him around. Autoline Industries is complete magic in today's session, 15% higher, and he's already making 3.5%, 18,000 rupees in a matter of a few minutes that we've been talking. So that's doing really well for Rajat.
Okay, absolutely. So congratulations, but 3:30 is the time that we will declare the final winner. Ashwini, Rajat and Mr. Shastri, it's been a pleasure playing the stock game with you this week. We look forward to having you next time around. I can see that big smile on your face, Rajat, so congratulations on that investment. We'll take a quick break on that note, but we've got a portfolio coming by of Mr. Srijit Ji, so stay tuned.